in the olden days, like you would, what's on your plate, the kind of eating those chicken, like
mindlessly eating.
Yeah, that's it.
My name is Haidy, and I appear to have been placed on the path of rescuing hens from commercial farms and trying to heal them as best as possible. That was the initial goal, but I now campaign quite a lot just to raise awareness and educate people about the truth of the egg industry.
What took you down this path? So why did you get into rescuing hens?
Well, it was my partner Caroline back in 2016 said, can we get some hens? And I said, yeah, can we rescue? I've heard you can rehome hens from commercial farms. So we looked into it, rehomed 3 girls, Margot, Barbara and Jerry, and brought them home. And then I just sat and stared at them and just thought, I can't believe the condition they're in. And I just thought, well, it's just so wrong. And started looking into the egg industry, reading up about the reality of it, and just thought, I need to do more, I need to help out, do something. So I started volunteering for a rehoming organisation. So that's how I started getting involved with that side of things.
Do you get your hens from a variety of like sources or farms, or?
Yeah, the organisation I volunteer with, they build relationships with farmers. It's a very sensitive area because you can't go in kicking and screaming because they'll just shut the doors. So you have to take a very diplomatic approach. But yeah, they get hens from free range, barn, caged, organic, all over the UK. So we currently have a team of over 100 volunteers, and it is a military operation in terms of organising, securing homes for all the girls. We always clear the barns, farms, and every hen has a home.
So with the hens that you've rescued so far, when they come in and stay with you, what are the main health issues that you kind of see?
Malnutrition, exhaustion, stress, emotional stress. I see a lot of emotional stress, but that doesn't get recognised by people. Prolapses is a very common one. Pushing out an egg every day, they can prolapse really easily.
What does that mean?
A prolapse is where the oviduct comes out of the vent.
Right, okay.
Then if they're in a commercial environment when that happens, the other hens will peck it because it's bloody and it's rich with blood and blood vessels, which is why Tuppence, one of my girls up there, she came out with a really bad necrotic prolapse. And it took about 2 weeks of intensive care and cleaning and removal of necrotic material before I could then get it to stay in again. So, and it's a massive health risk for them to have any internal tissue out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
so that they're quite likely to not survive that environment. With
they wouldn't.
That kind
they
of
wouldn't.
condition.
A hen. The commercial environment is so stressful and unnatural for a hen that their stress levels they will cannibalise another hen if if a hen dies. They can peck and eat because they're just starving and stressed. So.
Does it get to a point where the farmers like these hens are they used to us anymore, or?
It's industry standard. 70. It used to be 78 weeks. It's 72 weeks now. They depopulate a laying flock because naturally a hen will go into moult at that time and their egg production will drop. And I think commercially, if egg production drops by less than 20%. Per hen, they will, they want that. So they've worked out industry standard 72 weeks. They will just clear the entire flock. So fresh start for hens. Communicate with farmers, and they'll say, right, I want to depopulate my flock in September. So we organise the rehomes and then go in, and then they'll clear down. So it's just standard around the country, and that's what the farmers will do, because an unproductive hen that isn't at top yield is not making them the money, so they would rather just depopulate and restock.
What does the lifestyle of an enriched caged hen look like?
So once a hen's hatched and sexed as female and useful for the industry, they will be sent to rearing barns where they stay for 16 weeks. They're then taken out to the different systems. So the caged hens, they'll be put in the cages at 16 weeks. At the moment, with the enriched cages, there's generally between 40 and 80 hens in a cage. They're still tiered. They're just bigger cages. They have, I think now they have 15 centimetres of perch space per hen, and they have 750 centimetres squared per hen, which sounds terribly impressive, but actually when you calculate that, it's so 30 centimetres by 20 centimetres is 600 centimetres squared. That's what it used to be in a battery hen cage. They then added essentially postcards worth of extra space. This is part of the enrichment, and a nest box. So in the enriched cage, they'll have 15 centimetres of perch space. They'll have a nest box with a plastic flap and some astroturf that they can go in and lay their eggs, and they'll share it with 40 to 80 other hens, and that's where they'll be confined to for 56 weeks when they're then taken out for slaughter. 72 weeks old.
And when these hens are slaughtered, are they used like the supermarket like meat, or are they just like, is it a culling?
No, they do literally strip everything out of them. So generally, by the time they hit 72 weeks, their condition is such that there's not a huge amount of meat on their bones. So I think it's more kind of mechanically reclaimed for things like nuggets and baby food, pet food. They will get every penny's worth.
With the hens, so I don't know if you know this, but in those 72 weeks, compared to like in a natural state,
Yeah.
how many eggs would they lay in that time compared to like naturally?
So going back to the beginning of the industry, it's a commercial hen. So Beryl, for example, would have been hatched in a hatchery. She would have been sexed at one day. Her brothers will be disposed of. The girls will go into rearing barns where they're then reared for 16 weeks. They're then put out into whichever system. So at this point, they're all the same. They then get separated into free-range, organic, barn, caged. They get sent out to those places, so a hen will come into lay at about 16 weeks naturally. Culled at 72 weeks. In that time, they will lay an egg pretty much every day. So between 16 weeks and 72 weeks, so 56 weeks, you'll lay an egg pretty much every day. Naturally, a hen will not lay that many eggs, but they have been genetically engineered to do that, which is why they suffer so many reproductive issues.
What kind of reproductive issues do they suffer?
A lot of ovarian cancer, uterine cancers, general tumours that seed out into their abdomens. They have a lot of internal laying issues where they'll drop yolks into their abdomen, and then they get pig yolk peritonitis, which is a bacterial infection. It can be fatal if it's not caught very early.
So that's not almost like an ectopic pregnancy in
Yeah,
humans.
their shell gland, which is the uterus, goes defunct quite readily, usually about 3 years, because it's just worn out. But they can also get fatty liver disease and general just exhaustion, because their bodies have literally been stripped of everything to produce an egg. That's all they're designed for. Minimum feed-in, maximum yield, egg per day. That's the goal for the commercial hen, and it strips them of everything.
Could you kind of tell us about what the main differences are between organic and then caged system and then free range system, just to kind of highlight that there's no better system in a way?
So in the UK, I can only speak for the UK. In the UK, so all hens are hatched in hatcheries, and I was looking. This is something that I want to raise, put a spotlight on if possible, is the hens who are laying the eggs to go into the hatcheries. It's quite a secret world. So all hens who end up in the commercial egg industry start in the hatcheries. In terms of differences, the only difference for a hen that's come from a rearing barn or going to an organic system is that they will, in the UK, they'll not have their beak trimmed. Caged, free range and barn, all the hens have the tips of their beaks trimmed, which is either done mechanically or by laser, which they've done as a chick. So they're put in the machine and the tip of their beaks trimmed off, which is painful. They have nerve endings, and it's done primarily to stop pecking and cannibalism through stress. So rather than environmental enrichment, they opt for beak trimming to prevent that. Outside of that, there is no difference in the hens. They're all vaccinated, they're all handled exactly the same, they're all treated exactly the same before they go into their free range caged or barn system. Free range organic, they don't have their beaks trimmed, but outside of that they're reared the same way for the same period of time. The main difference for organic is to do with the feed and the medicines and veterinary intervention that they will receive because they're organic. The other main difference is the space, the availability of space and what they call the stocking density. So I think, if I remember this correctly, an enriched cage, you are allowed 16 hens per square metre of usable floor space. So, yeah, 16. Free range and barn, it's 9 hens per square metre, and organic, it's 6 hens per square metre. Then there's additional outside space requirements for free range and for organic. Obviously not for caged or barn because they don't go outside. So there's a number of different requirements to meet those different systems through legislation. But in summary, yes, it's stocking density and available space. In terms of the time that they're in those systems, it doesn't matter. They're still taken to slaughter at 72 weeks, and they're still all collected by the same people, the same companies, in the same manner. They'll either be slaughtered through inert gas in situ, or they'll be rounded up. However they do that, some places are more careful, others, you may have seen the Animal Justice Project work about the captures, the catching gangs. You go into these places to depopulate, and it's really brutal, it's horrendous. And then they all have exactly the same death. So in that respect, there's no difference. The difference is the living bit for the hen in what people choose to consume, but the end result for the hen is exactly the same.
That's 72 weeks. Yeah.
And then they're unceremoniously slaughtered.
So what is the life expectancy of a
rescue hen? So variable. It's so variable. It really depends on, some will die in my arms on day one, and some will keep going. Mrs. Patoot and Rocky are 6.5 now, which is a really good age for an ex-commercial hen. Both have had major health issues, both have just kept on going. they're massively supported through implants and to stop them laying, and very good nutrition. But it's so variable, just like the people. Some are more susceptible to illness, some have stronger constitutions, some emotionally can't deal with it and it's just too much. It's horrendous where you have a girl on rescue day and they pass away because they just can't, they have nothing left in them to just keep going just for an extra 24 hours to get them to a safe place with intensive care. And it's heartbreaking to see that because you just think, oh, so close. And it's not unusual for that to happen.
I know we've kind of touched on this already, but could you just describe what the hens actually look like when they come out of these industrial facilities?
Most tatty, all of them are tatty, all of them to varying degrees. Some are less tatty and they get classed as really good, healthy looking girls, and I just always think to myself, it's so commonplace and it becomes acceptable. But yes, featherless, pale, tired, so tired. Sometimes some are more feathered. They're all soiled. They're all depressed. You can feel it if you pay attention. You can really just feel it, that their lives have been one major survival. That's all they've been doing every day, is surviving. And that is their, their level of stress. So it takes them quite a lot of time to decompress and just relaxing to be hen. Actually, it is the most beautiful thing we see it. I mean, in terms of stress and looking at hormones, stress hormones, these girls are so stressed when they come out. They have a really. I'm helping in a rehome at the weekend, and the girl, when I get them at my collection point, I'll make sure they're rested for at least an hour, fed water, and I just stand and watch them, and they'll eat and drink, and I can check them over. And you can just feel the stress in them. So if that is being translated into meat, that can't be good for anybody. Obviously, the industry and disconnect for consumers is that they just see hen and then they see food. They don't even recognise the process to get from that to that, and that's where if I can educate people to actually connect with them as sentient beings and then tell them about the process, because it doesn't just magically happen that you go from a fully feathered living hen to a roast chicken. There's a very horrible process.
So obviously hens, chickens, they're all sentient. How have you seen this present in the hens you've rescued, like in terms of like when you first get them and they have like maybe trauma responses, what are those? And then like you see them start to trust and like love you and
I mean it's very even Beryl. I mean Beryl's not been a cuddler at all. It's taken her quite a while just to realise that I'm that funny person that comes up every day and waffles on at them and feeds them and loves them and but yeah, a lot of girls are very nervous. I've seen girls screaming, they're just so like in heightened state of anxiety that they'll just squawk and squawk and squawk and squawk. They won't want to be touched, they won't want to be around anybody else. But slowly you see them start to relax. Some come in straight away and will just start digging and scratching and dust bathing because they're all individuals. And again, that's another thing. Farming treats them as a flock. It's not a group of individuals. They're treated as a flock. So if one gets poorly, they're just dispatched, or God forbid it's something contagious, then the flock gets dispatched. But yeah, generally the girls come and they will start scratching about and they'll see the other girls relaxed coming to me. I mean, I just go and sit up in the run and invariably somebody will come and sit on me or poo on me and the others are like, oh okay, that looks alright, she looks alright.
So in your opinion, what's the best way forward? Is it just like no egg farms or everyone like buys locally and just reduces egg consumption, or is it
I think that for me, my absolute ideal is yes, that animals are not used, period, for anything at all, anywhere. And when you grasp that concept, you realise how many things occur that are just degrading to animals, not just the food industry, as well you all know. So in an ideal world, yes, I would like there to be no animal agriculture in terms of consumption, so no animals being used for production. And if people feel that strongly about that, then yes, choosing a plant-based diet. So at the moment there are billions of hens in commercial systems, and the number that we rehome and rescue is a drop in the ocean. However, the ripples that generates in terms of educating people who rehome hens, that might trigger in them an understanding that actually their girls are sentient, but they're not just chickens, they are little hens with souls and behaviours and issues and health issues and likes and dislikes, just like anybody else, actually, any animal, human. And that might then trigger some changes in their dietary choices, and to also help spread awareness to their friends. You know, and a lot of people want to do better. Yeah. They want to care. People are really busy. They want to know, but they don't want to see. So they want to be led by marketing. So they want to feel comfortable when they go and get their free-range box of eggs with a very happy picture of hens on there. And I don't blame them for doing that. I did it, and I was a welfarist for a long while, and I used to get slated by vegans. I'm now vegan. I used to get hammered by people saying, "But you're promoting the egg industry," and I'd be like, "But organic's better." And then I just thought, a minute, right, stop making yourself feel comfortable. Step up, look at it, make yourself really bloody uncomfortable, look at it, because your discomfort is nowhere near what those animals are going through, and make a choice. So I did make a choice. And so now my page is very much just about the reality of it, but also a very just gentle, like, here's the girls, here they are, like, just see them. Because actually when people start seeing them and connecting, and the posts that get the most engagement are always the ones where I've lost a girl. People do care. I don't know how many people know that we have mega farms in the UK. You see the footage and you think that's got to be America. I want people to really start looking, which is why the work that you guys do is really important, and any other organisation out there who is highlighting the realities and putting it out there so people can see it. And that's what I mean, it's such a massive thing, isn't it? So I think if everybody does something collectively, that is going to make a difference somehow. No one knows what one single act will result in. So err on the side of caution, be kind, be compassionate, and then ask yourself some really honest questions.